תשמרו בני ישראל אמס השבוס ועשויס es השבוס.
Hello, we're learning The Path of the Just, Mesilas Yesharim, and we're on page 444 of the Art Scroll edition. We're learning about the trait of humility, of anava. To be a truly humble person, it's something that takes a lot of work. It's not something that a person can attain overnight. We are naturally beings that have an ego. We want to feel important, and that's a very big Yetzer Hara, a very big evil inclination that we have. We want to feel important. There's a Yetzer Hara to rule over others. People want to be praised and be in power. That is the Yetzer Hara Hakasani, which the Vilna Gaon describes. But Gaiva, haughtiness, is a very big Yetzer Hara. So to become humble people, to acquire the trait of humility, that's something that we have to learn about, what humility entails. That's step one. And step two is contemplating and making the ideas part of ourselves. It's one thing to learn about these ideas, but the real challenge is to internalize them and make them a part of our existence. So let's start from page 444 in the Art Scroll edition. We're in the middle of chapter 22 of Mesilas Yesharim, and we're learning about humility. And the Ramchal is going through different traits that if someone has, maybe he has very positive traits and he should feel very haughty about it. So the first thing he discussed was somebody who's very intelligent. So he thinks he's better than everybody else, but really his intelligence is just a blessing from Hashem. Hashem decided to give him intelligence, and that's why he's smart. There's nothing to feel haughty about if Hashem gives you something. It's not something that he earned on his own necessarily to be, gifted to be intelligent. He says that that there could be another person who is not so intelligent, but if Hashem had blessed him with a higher IQ, it could be that he would have a greater desire to study and to learn. If he's good at it, he would have done it, and he would have been even smarter than you had Hashem blessed him with that intelligence. But Hashem did not bless him with that gift. So now we're going to different attributes that a person would possibly feel haughty about. Okay, Im asherhu, if a person is wealthy, yismach b'chalko, he should be happy with what he has. He should be happy with his lot. Va'alav hu la'azor l'misha ein lo. And what should a wealthy person do? Right? Somebody who's wealthy might think, I'm so important, I have so much money. Let me brag about, what kind of car I drive. Tell everyone online about the beautiful, BMW or Corvette or Cadillac, Mercedes that I drive, and tell everyone about it because I'm so important. But no, really, the fact that he's wealthy is a blessing from Hashem. Maybe he wouldn't have been successful in business, and he wouldn't be so great. But God wanted him to be successful, so how should he or she observe that, react to that success? The Ramchal says he should help those that don't have. That's what a person should do. A wealthy person shouldn't be spending his time thinking how important he is and how wealthy he is and how powerful he is and how he could make others bend to his will because all of his money. He should be spending his time thinking about how he could help others, how he could help those that are less fortunate. Im Gibor, who, let's say a person is mighty, he's very very strong, and he is able to accomplish a lot. So what should he do? Lazur lakoshlam lahatzu lashukim. He should help those that are weak. Maybe there's somebody getting taken advantage of, so he should help those people that are being taken advantage of. Halamazadayim. What is this like? Mashar say a bias. It's like these people that have certain positive traits. They're like people that are in charge of different parts of a house, different tasks in a home. Shekol echad memuna al davar ma. Each person is appointed to, let's say servants in a mansion. Each servant has his specific job. Shekol echad memuna al davar ma. V'roi lo la'amod b'mishmarta lefi pkudaso. And each servant, each person in the house has to do what his job is. Lahashlam malachas habayis u'tzracha, to complete the tasks of the house and what's needed. Ve'ein bekan makom l'gaiv lefi emes. And there's no point to feeling haughty about such a thing. Do servants in a house, you have a person who's the cook, you have the person who's the butler, and you have the person who cleans, the maid. They feel haughty about their tasks. They're very skilled in their tasks. They're a very good cook. But that's what he was put there to do. He's a good cook, so he was put in the house to prepare food for the home. Same thing in the world. God gave each of us different strengths, different abilities, different blessings of our lives. Some of us were born wealthy, some of us earn wealth, some of us are smart, some of us are strong, whatever. Some of us we all have different positive attributes that God gave us. So we can either feel haughty about it, where we're like, oh, we're awesome because we're great, we're the best because we have these attributes, or we could say, no, I'm going to use these attributes that God gave me not to rule over others, but to help people. If I'm wealthy, I'm going to give charity. I'm going to give to the person who's struggling to put food on his table for Shabbos or during the week, or has trouble paying tuition for his children, or whatever it is. And maybe I don't even know about those situations. But if a person is wealthy, he could go to the rabbi and say, Rabbi, I've been blessed with a lot of money. Instead of going on an extravagant vacation to the tropical islands or whatever it is, I want to find out who are some people in the community that are having trouble paying the bills. I would like to help them in a discreet way. Or perhaps a person is a very savvy at business, or he's very intelligent and strong, and he sees that there's somebody in the community who's being taken advantage of, but he's not being successful at work, and he could use some advice. So I'll seek out those opportunities to try to help that person. That's how that's the proper perspective, that we have to use these positive attributes that Hashem gave us to help those that are less fortunate. And this is the true perspective that somebody has who has a straight way of thinking, and it's not messed up. And when he clarifies this to himself, then he's a true humble person. So again, there's clarifying, getting these ideas straight, and then making it a part of oneself, right? It's very easy now to say, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I should use my positive attributes to help others and not be haughty. But to actually make that a part of ourselves where we really don't feel haughty, that takes a long time of really sitting and contemplating and thinking about these ideas. And also acting in a way that's humble. Right? We shouldn't do anything on the outside that's going to appear haughty. Meaning, we can't, as the Ramchal said, though, we shouldn't be fakers, right? We shouldn't pretend that we're humble. But what we should do is that we should act humble with the goal. We shouldn't do anything that's externally appears haughty, but the goal should be that by acting in a humble way, we hope to make the humility a feeling which is part of ourselves. David is what David said to his wife Michal. His wife criticized him. He was the king, and they were moving the ark, and he was dancing wildly in front of the ark. And his wife thought it wasn't appropriate. He's the king. He shouldn't be acting like that. So he said to his wife, "V'hayisi shafel be'enai." I am lowly in my own eyes. Meaning King David, one of the greatest people who ever lived, he viewed himself as a lowly person. And especially when a person is doing something for the honor of Hashem, that's definitely a situation where a person shouldn't worry about his honor. The Brisker Rav, I think it was the Brisker Rav, used to cut toilet paper before Shabbos, right? The leader of the generation, the holiest rabbi, and what was he spending his Friday doing? Cutting toilet paper in preparation for Shabbos. Because when you are serving Hashem, there is nothing that is considered too lowly when serving God. So King David was honoring Hashem by dancing in front of the ark. So you shouldn't say, oh, I'm such an important person, I shouldn't be behaving like that. No. On the contrary, you're an important person. So an important person and a truly great person recognizes that his abilities are from Hashem, and that causes a humility, and that should never interfere with one's serving of God. I tell the story many times that my Rosh Yeshiva, very one of the greatest rabbis in the world, and for sure in the United States, I was walking with him to the Beis Medrash, to the study hall, and all of a sudden I didn't see him, and I looked down and he bent down, and he was picking up a little tiny piece of tissue paper that was on the floor in the hallway to the Beis Medrash so he could throw it out. And he said, I was kind of surprised that such a great rabbi would do such a lowly thing, bend down and pick up a piece of tissue paper. And he said that it's a mitzvah to keep the Beis Medrash clean. It's a Torah mitzvah to keep the Beis Medrash clean. So for a mitzvah, he doesn't care. I'm a great rabbi. No, of course, it's a mitzvah to go pick up the toilet paper. He doesn't care. But that's a very special, somebody who puts these ideas into practice on a daily basis. The rabbi said, "Kama gedolim nemuche haruach, shebizman shebeis hamikdash kayim, Adam Makriv, well, let's see how great it is to be a humble person. The time that the temple existed, Adam Makriv Ayla, Schar El Biyad. If a person brought an Ola sacrifice, he would get a reward that he brought an Ola sacrifice. Mincha, if he brought a Mincha sacrifice, Schar Mincha Biyado, he would get the reward for bringing a Mincha sacrifice. Aval Misha Daito Shval Olav, but somebody who is humble, Malal of Akasav Ki'ilu Hikriv Kol Erkabonis Kulam. Somebody who's humble, the Torah compares him to that it's as if he brought all of the sacrifices in the temple. Shenemar, as it says, Zivchei Elokim Ruach Nishbara. Somebody who is of a lowly heart, it's like sacrifices to Hashem. This is talking about somebody who is humble, has a lowly spirit, and is humble in his heart and in his mind. So somebody who is humble, it's like he brought all of the sacrifices that exist in the temple. Obviously a very, very lofty praise. It says furthermore, Lo merumchem kol ha'amim. Hashem, it says, love the Jewish people, not because we are great in number, right? Certain countries, they pride themselves in having their huge populations, but Hashem says to the Jewish people, I don't like you. The reason that I like you is not because of your great numbers. Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem says, Banai, Ani cheshik bechem. He says, I desire you. Because even when I give you greatness, you make yourself lowly in front of me. Nasati gedula Avraham. I gave greatness to Avraham. Amar, what did Avraham say? V'anaychi afer ve'efer. I'm dust and ashes. Nasati gedula Moshe. I gave greatness to Moshe ve'Aaron. Amru. When Hashem gave greatness to Moshe and Aaron, what did it say? V'nachnu ma. What are we? Nasati Gedul David, I gave greatness to King David. Amar va'anaychi salas v'lo ish. I'm a worm and not a man. Kol zev masha'en alev ha'yasher maniach atzma lehispatos mishamayla asher yavo biyada ba'amish kvar lo mipnei zeh yotzim midei shifluso mitzad chesronos acheru sheyevsha shelo yubo va'od shafil ba'osam hamitzvos atzmam shehisig lo igia v'adai latachlas ha'achron. These great people recognized, and the true proper perspective, that if a person has a certain praiseworthy quality, that's no reason to be haughty. Why? Because he's for sure lacking in other areas. We all have our strengths, but we all have our weaknesses. So what's the point of feeling haughty in a certain area where we may be very successful or very good at something? We have other areas where we're lacking, so there's no reason to feel haughty. And even in those areas where we are successful, we for sure didn't accomplish all that we're meant to accomplish in those areas. Va'od, and furthermore, afilu lo yeh b'chisar nacher, ela hayosa basar v'dam yuladisha dailo zev hosel b'chisus ugriyo such lo yeus lo haynase klal ki hare kol ma'alash yu masik eina ela chesed al olav shot lachon asoim meyosim mitzat tiva v'achamir shafel v'nivza ad ma'od al kein ein lo ela lahodos l'mishachanu le'ken tamid yoser. He says that, and even if, let's say, we're perfect, right? None of us are, but let's say we were perfect. Still, we should be humble because we're human beings. And he says that a human being, by nature, we learned this in Derech Hashem, discussed this concept, that a human being has a physical nature. We're drawn very much after the physical. So he says any spiritual success that we have to view it as a gift from Hashem. Or any, let's say, positive spiritual qualities. Obviously, a person had to make decisions, and he, chose with his free will, chose to do the right thing. But the fact that a human being is so drawn after the physical, we should recognize that our positive traits that we had that allowed us to transcend that a little bit, even if we are perfect spiritual beings, that those traits were given to us from Hashem. And we have to totally be humble in front of Him. Halamazadamar. What is this comparable to? It's very interesting. On the contrary, let's say a person is great. He says, what is this comparable to? Like the best person ever is all the positive traits. He says he should be even more humble. Why? It's like a poor person. If a poor person gets a gift, it's embarrassing. He got a gift from somebody else that he didn't earn. It was a chesed that somebody did to him. Somebody did for him. So if a poor person gave a huge gift, right? There's a pauper that is homeless and someone gives him $10 million. He's going to be even more embarrassed because he didn't earn it himself. The same thing if a person is greater and got tremendous gifts from Hashem. They're all gifts, so how can we should feel even more humble if we have even more of those gifts from Hashem? So a person who can truly look at himself should realize this too. Okay, Inyan Sha'amar David HaMelech, that a person who has great character traits, it should be automatically instill in him humility, because Hashem blessed him with these positive traits. And it's like a poor person who receives the gifts that he's humbled by it. He feels embarrassed. And this is what King David said. King David said, "What could I say to you, Hashem, for all you've given to me?" So again, just to summarize the proper perspective, we all have strengths, we all have weaknesses, and even when it comes to our strengths, we should recognize that many of those strengths, that all of these strengths, they were gifts from Hashem, gifts to God. So our proper perspective should be not to feel haughty that either we're smart, rich, strong, whatever it might be, but we should be looking for ways to use these traits to help others and to seek out those that are maybe not as wealthy, strong, or intelligent as us, and to use our gifts not to be haughty, but to serve Hashem and to help the Jewish people. With that, I wish everyone a beautiful day.